The strange disappearance of Mike Hearon from the Great Smoky Mountains.
It would definitely be considered a cold case. My mind has gone 100 different ways. Anytime, of course, with all the hope we have of finding them, anytime we hear something, you start to believe it.
Michael Edwin Hearon, known as Mike, who was 51 years old, was last spotted on his four-wheel drive ATV at approximately 11 a.m. on August 23, 2008, heading towards a densely wooded area close to his 100-acre residence on Bell Branch Road in Blount County, Tennessee. The location is adjacent to the boundary of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park.
Bell Branch is just a really small road, single lane. It borders the national park. It's sort of back in the corner, so it's really secluded and away from everything.
Following an extensive search of the vicinity near his home, no evidence was discovered except for his abandoned ATV, which had its keys in the ignition, was in high gear, and had the kill switch turned off. There were no footprints, ripped pieces of clothing, noticeable paths through the dense vegetation, bloodstains, body tissue, or skeletal remains found in the area, indicating that Mike had never been there. The authorities presume that he had either been abducted or lost in the forest, while the family suspects that criminal activity was at play. Despite the passage of time, no new evidence has surfaced, leaving the question of what occurred to Mike Hearon on that fateful day in August 2008 in the wilderness around Happy Valley, Tennessee, unanswered.
Believe it.
Your mind's just going over so many different things, and you have so many different ideas and just so many questions that you just want answered.
Mike Hearon, who was roughly 5 foot 10 inches tall and weighed approximately 185 pounds, was last seen wearing a faded red t-shirt, khaki cargo shorts, and sandals when he disappeared. Had a snake bite scar on one of his feet, a surgical scar on the back of his knee, and a noticeable tattoo on his lower back along with a few dental caps. Besides having mild high blood pressure, Mike was in good physical shape. He was a native of East Tennessee and attended Lanier High School, where he played football. Following high school, he worked as a trail trimmer for the Park Service, before starting a successful home building company, Mike Hearon Builders, which his sons Matt and Andy also worked for. The company had sold much of its housing inventory in 2007, prior to the housing market crash of 2008 and 9, and there were no apparent financial difficulties. Mike was familiar with the Happy Valley region and owned a 100-acre farm with cattle. He enjoyed exploring caves and venturing deep into the nearby Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Happy Valley is an unincorporated community in Blount County, Tennessee, with approximately 500 inhabitants. It lies within a narrow valley bearing the same name on the northwestern border of the Great Smoky Mountains. Happy Valley Road is the primary road access to the area, linking U.S. Route 129 with the Look Rocks section of the Foothills Parkway. The Great Smoky Mountains National Park spans 522,419 acres and covers the ridgeline of the Blue Ridge Mountains, including the Great Smoky Mountains. Often shortened to the Smokies, this park center is crossed by the border between Tennessee and North Carolina, running from the northeast to the southwest. It was established by the United States Congress in 1934 and officially dedicated by President Franklin D. Roosevelt in 1940. The park features some of the highest mountains in the eastern part of the United States. The Appalachian Trail, which runs from Georgia to Maine, passes through the park. The Great Smoky Mountains National Park is the most visited national park in the United States, with 12.5 million visitors in 2019. Mike's sons, Andy and Matt, were last in contact with him on Saturday, August 23, 2008. At around 9:30 a.m., Mike called his son Andy to inform him that he was leaving his condo in Maryville, Tennessee, and would be coming over to his house to collect a lawnmower and trailer for cutting grass on a property in Happy Valley.
He called me Saturday morning just to kind of let me know he was going to head up over the mountain for the weekend. Nothing out of the ordinary.
Although Andy was not home when his father called, he offered to help him load the mower onto the trailer. Matt, Mike's other son, received a voicemail from Mike with the same message. Mike regularly visited his farm in Happy Valley and was eager to mow the grass on a 40-acre neighboring property owned by missionaries who had been away for some time. Andy told his dad he could go ahead and transport the mower by himself if he didn't want to wait, because they only lived about a half hour apart. So he would either see his dad loading the mower and help him, or pass him on the drive. On his way home, Andy passed his dad on Gateway Road. that Mike had the mower and was likely heading towards Bell Branch Road. Later that morning, around 11 a.m., Mike's neighbor saw him pull into his driveway. His neighbor described it as he was hauling a piece of equipment on a trailer. 30 minutes later, they saw him on his four-wheeler ATV, and he waved as he drove down Bell Branch Road. Matt and Andy assumed their dad would call and return the mower and trailer to one of them when he was done, and they went on with their weekends. On Sunday, August 24th, their grandmother Alma called around 2 p.m. concerned that she hadn't heard from Mike and couldn't reach him on his cell phone, even though cell phone reception in Happy Valley was almost non-existent.
I was starting to worry when we were driving up there, just because the whole fact that we were having to drive up there, it was just odd, you know.
Earlier that morning, Alma, Mike's mother, had walked with Matt and Andy from their house on Happy Valley Road to Mike's house on Bell Branch Road, but there was no response when they knocked on his door. They saw Mike's truck in the driveway with a mower and trailer attached, just as their grandfather had seen it earlier that weekend. They also noticed that the lawn had not been mowed. However, Matt and Andy weren't too worried, as their father often spent time away from the house taking care of the cattle or working on the farm. The next day, on August 25th, Alma called again and expressed her concern that she still hadn't heard from Mike. This alarmed Matt and Andy, and they decided to check on their father. Matt first went to Mike's condo on Brown Court in Maryville, where he stayed during the week for work. There, he found 2 of Mike's 3 vehicles in the garage, but nothing seemed out of place. After checking the condo, Matt met up with Andy, and they both went to the farm on Bell Branch Road. Alma had gone back to the farmhouse to check on Mike, but she didn't find him. When Andy and Matt arrived, they saw that Mike's ATV was still in the front yard, and his truck was parked with a lawnmower and trailer attached to the back. Upon closer inspection, they found that the windows of the truck were down, the doors were unlocked, and Mike's keys, ID, and money clip were still inside the vehicle, which was very strange. Matt and Andy came to the realization that the old ATV their grandmother had seen on Mike's property was still there, while the new one that Mike had recently purchased was missing. In addition, Mike's truck was parked in an unusual position, as it was normally moved before the school bus arrived on Monday mornings. Matt was particularly worried about the missing ATV, because it suggested that Mike may have been in an accident and unable to return to the farm. On Monday, August 25th, around noon, the men informed some of the close family members of Mike's disappearance and contacted their mother, who drove to Happy Valley to help them search. Matt and Andy began searching their father's property by repairing a flat tire on an old ATV and driving through all the ATV trails and nearby campgrounds in the national park. They were unable to find any signs of their dad. Around 3 or 4 p.m., Matt and Andy called 911, reporting their father Mike missing to the National Park Service, who transferred the report to the Blount County Sheriff's Office.
Blount
That
County
was first
911.
called and immediately to the Blount County Sheriff's Department. And then within probably an hour or two, they had met us over at his house.
Between 6 and 7 p.m., search teams from the Sheriff's Office arrived to the farm, talked to Mike's friends in the neighborhood, and attempted to track him with a sniffer dog. However, the search was interrupted by heavy rain that persisted for several days. The search teams agreed to meet with the family before daylight the following morning to continue the search for Mike.
We were called out to his house. I remember it was raining.
That's where the old one was parked, right there.
Got everybody together on Tuesday morning very early, and that's when we were doing the grid searches and all of that. And Tuesday, I think, around lunchtime is when they had found the four-wheeler.
It was just really oddly placed. Didn't really find a whole lot of evidence.
We grew up riding four-wheelers and dirt bikes. Me and my brother did, and my dad, and all of us did. And, when you turn something off, that has an ignition switch and a key, you turn the key off or it'll drain the battery, the lights and stuff.
Gary Whitehead, one of Mike's neighbors who lived on Bell Branch Road, offered to lead search parties despite being in his 80s. When Mike went missing, Grady caught a glimpse of him as he drove past his house on his ATV and waved at him. The Heron and Whitehead families shared a close bond, having worked as a park ranger in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park for more than 3 decades. Grady was well versed with the terrain and possessed excellent tracking skills, and he couldn't believe Mike would just go missing. He was confident in his ability to locate Mike because the thick vegetation in Happy would leave a telltale sign, like flattened leaves, snapped twigs, and crushed bushes if someone had walked through an area or taken a tumble and then tried to seek help. On Tuesday, August 26th, a friend discovered his missing ATV around 12:05 p.m. near Happy Valley Loop, a road leading to Bell Branch Road and about a mile from Mike's residence. The ATV was in an uncommon location near an abandoned cabin and close to the national park, but not inside of it. It appeared to have been abandoned in a hurry or purposely ditched in the thick brush. The vehicle was undamaged and still had fuel in the tank, but it was found in high gear on a steep hill with the ignition switch on and the kill switch off, which was unusual behavior for Mike. Matt, Mike's son, noted that his father would never leave an ATV on as it would drain the battery. Upon seeing the ATV, Matt and his brother knew it was their father's, but they had no explanation as to why it was in that location. They immediately suspected foul play. The next day, over 50 community volunteers and deputies searched the area where the ATV was found. The search proved fruitless as no trace of Mike or any clues were found. The rain made it difficult to gather any forensic evidence, and the searchers could not find any footprints or a trail in the thick underbrush. Dogs were not able to pick up a scent, and there was no evidence of an animal attack, a struggle, or any foul play. The searchers found no torn bits of clothing, blood, tissue, or bones. It was as if Mike had just disappeared without a trace. Around 450 acres were searched by hundreds of volunteers and officials, with some of the area searched more than once, including aerial searches with the help of the Knox County Sheriff's Office helicopter, cadaver dogs from North Carolina, sheriff's deputies on horseback, private citizens with horses, ATVs, and grid searches in the backcountry on foot. The search also covered about 50 miles of hiking trails, and drones were used to map the area. The sheriff's office even brought in divers to search 2 ponds on Mike's property. No signs of human decay were detected by the cadaver dogs when they were brought in the following Wednesday. The official search for Mike Hearon was called off by the Blount County Sheriff's Office on Friday, August 29, 2008. In January 2009, another search was conducted, and an article of clothing was found near the location where Mike's ATV was discovered. However, it did not match Mike's. Some bones were also discovered in a fire pit not far from the ATV location, but they were determined to be from a cow. Despite the thorough search, no trace of Mike, his clothes, or his belongings has been found in the woods around where the ATV was located. Friends and family have conducted searches in the years since his disappearance, but nothing has turned up. As a result, Matt and Andy organized an annual hike called Hike for Mike, along with the trails near Mike's property in Happy Valley. Despite a $15,000 reward, no new leads have been found. According to both his sons, Mike Hearon would never have willingly left his family. Andy Hearon, who had been married to his wife Casey for about 3 months at the time of Mike's disappearance, said that his father was a family-oriented person who loved the outdoors and the Bell Branch property. Matt Hearon also expressed his belief that his father did not simply walk away, citing his close relationship with his mother and his excitement about becoming a grandfather. Matt also ruled out the possibility of suicide, stating that his father did not suffer from depression and had no financial or personal enemies. The ATV's ignition being left on suggests that Mike may have abruptly left the trail due to encountering or hearing something in the woods, or being confronted someone or something that caused him to immediately abandon his vehicle. There are some speculations that Mike disappeared as a result of a drug deal gone wrong, or after stumbling upon an illegal marijuana farm. The disappearance of Mike Hearon is a tragic and unresolved case that has left his family and the community with more questions than answers. Despite extensive searches and investigations by law enforcement, no trace of Mike has been found.
Lots and stuff.
We get leads, we get tips, and we follow up on all them. We just, we get tips up until like a couple months ago we had tips and we followed up on it.
Thought of a lot of different details, but there's no point in going there because it's just unknown.
We don't believe, there's not any scenario that I've ran to believe that he's still be alive. I believe that he's dead.
No, it's hard to believe. It's been 14 years. I'm just proud we've all made it through.
This case has led to various theories about what happened to Mike, ranging from foul play to accidental injury or encountering something dangerous in the woods. However, none of these theories have been confirmed, leaving the fate of Mike Hearon a mystery. This story serves as a reminder of the importance of being safe and taking precautions when venturing into the wilderness. It's crucial to always inform someone of your planned route, bring necessary supplies and equipment, and to avoid unknown or potentially dangerous areas. Accidents can happen, and it's important to take measures to ensure your safety and the safety of others.